I guess TJ, with Taman's offensive production, would you evaluate that in the Arizona game? And I mean, how big of a boost can that be?
Yeah, Taman was terrific offensively. I really believe he set the tone defensively to start the game, guarding the basketball, making Taman plays, chasing down loose balls, getting us 50-50 balls. When you're the aggressor that way, I feel like it carries over in your offense. You're aggressive in terms of attacking closeouts, driving the ball, getting your feet down to shoot the basketball. And so I feel like that was across the board. Taman had a tremendous game, and that aggressiveness, I think, started with a mentality and mindset defensively, and to get loose balls carried over into his offense. Great to see.
With him being so experienced, do you think he has maybe a little bit of a sense like, all right, with Kurt maybe not making all the shots today, this is a night where I kind of need to give this team a little bit more offensively?
Yeah, I think, from my side of it, I want Taman to play to his offensive ability every night. I don't want him to look and say what anybody else is doing should impact his level of aggressiveness. I've got to do the best job possible of making sure he understands that. We're putting him in those positions because he's a terrific offensive player. We need him to be ready to knock down shots, drive the closeouts, make plays in transition. When he does it, our team is better. So regardless of how Kurt may be playing or anybody else, we need Taman to be focused on being aggressive, making plays, attacking closeouts, knocking down shots, because he's a really good player, and we're going to demand that he play to his ability level.
As you went back and watched some of the film of the end of the Arizona game, is there anything that you maybe wish that you had done differently as far as maybe missing a free throw, guarding the inbound pass, anything like that to prevent a situation like that occurring again?
No.
Thank you. I thought that would be your answer. As you kind of return home, how have you seen the team respond from that instance?
They've been good. I mean, certainly, gut punch. I mean, I don't know what the odds of making that shot or that shot going in, but I would guess not real likely. And so when that is the last play, I think guys have a tendency to hang on to that. My job's been to point to them. We probably played the best 12 minutes of defense to start that game. We came out, started the second half with a great fight. Taman had a heroic effort, start to finish. Demarion Watson's been a huge bright spot. Deshaun Jackson had his best defensive game of the season, bar none, not even close. So you tend to feel like if the shot doesn't go in, everybody comes home and you feel like you're on top of the world. If the shot does go in, you feel like it's doom and gloom. To me, it's never one of those extremes. That's where we practice the daily habits, the focus on what we do. Caught a bad break, move on to the next thing. And so our guys have been good. Practice today was great, really competitive. I felt like physically the way it needs to be, and we need to set the tone every game. I thought we did a great job of doing that at the start of the game. At the start of the second half, we need to sustain it for the full 40 minutes. When we do that, we'll remove chance from the equation and we'll put ourselves in a great spot.
You mentioned Deshaun having his best defensive game. How have you seen him and Brant continue to rise on the defensive side over the last few weeks?
Yeah, I think with Deshaun, his motor and activity level, has been great at times, and we need to make sure that it's great every game. Certainly Kansas, I felt like he was flying around. Arizona, he's flying around. That's what we need to demand. Pick and roll coverage. He came out the first ball screen, trapped it, put them on their heels, generated a turnover. He probably had 6 or 7 jump balls at the rim, had 10 rebounds. So that's been great, and we need to continue to elevate him in that way. Brant, he brings physicality to everything that he does. And so for him to find ways to be physical whenever possible, whether it's, defensively, those ways are, in our pick and roll coverage or post coverage, jump balls at the rim, rebounding, just bringing physicality any way that he can, because that's a special gift that he has that really makes our team better.
TJ, what do you remember about last year's meeting with K-State here? Obviously some strange circumstances around it. I don't know what you would want to say about it, but clearly a highly charged atmosphere, I would say.
Yeah, no, it was a great atmosphere. We anticipate a great atmosphere Saturday. Whatever happened last year happened last year. We're coming off a game that felt like we should have won, and so our urgency and desperation to practice great and play great is going to carry forward. It just so happens this is who our opponent is. We have a lot of respect for him, and at the same time, our guys are going to come out really hungry with fire in their stomach to get a win.
With Joshua, he was so good in the second half for you guys. It's been so good for you all year. Was he down because he missed one of those free throws at the end, or did you have to lift him up at all, knowing how invested he is in everything, or is he, all good?
Yeah, Joshua's made so many big free throws through the close of the year, or through this early part of the year to close out games. So by no means should he feel down at all, because there's multiple wins that we've had. He's gone to that line in the same situation and converted, and we've come out with a victory. He came out today and was highly aggressive in practice, and was driving the ball with force, was all over the glass, which what we need to see from him. My job is to make sure that we get him to play with the same aggression in the first half as he does in the second half, because I think there's probably a pretty big disparity on what is happening there. So it's my job to get him off to a great start and make sure that that's not necessarily as much, hey, we're going to run isolation plays for you, as much as he's going to have great mental focus to come out and, from a basketball standpoint, throw the first punch. And when he does that, which he does, I feel like every game in the second half, it takes our team to a whole nother level. And so it's my job to demand it from him all the time.
The K-State lineup looks a bit different than it did last season. Just what have you seen from them so far, and what are you guys anticipating with this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, Hawkins is a terrific mismatch player. I mean, they use him in a lot of ways, the way that he can shoot it, post at the mid-post, drive you right, beat you off the dribble to the rim. He creates a matchup situation. We've got to be intentional guarding him. Gassan last year had 2 really good games against us with his motor and energy on the glass. Got to neutralize that right away, because he was somebody that, how hard he plays and the energy that he brought impacted their ability to be successful. With their new guys, obviously Housen's shooting it at a ridiculous rate, making more threes than anybody in the league at 42%. And with McDaniel, he started to crank his game up at the point, probably as fast as any guard is in the conference. So they've got some really good personnel. They've got depth. They're playing with a lot more confidence right now. I'd say the last 2 games they've come out in 19-2 against West Virginia, 19-4 against Oklahoma State last night. So you can see their guys are playing more confidently. So it's our job to start fast, set the tone, get after them, defensively dictate everything right from the jump.
What do you have to say about Keyshawn's ability to just always be in attack mode? Especially, it feels like in the second half of regulation, recent games, he's been able to be really impactful down the stretch.
Yeah, both those games in Arizona, the last 5 minutes or so, he was able to, just kind of put his foot on the gas and make some heroic plays. What we're looking for from him is to really do a great job picking his spots. I feel like late in the game, he does an awesome job getting to space, getting to his spots, making the right play. We've got to continue to do that over the 40 minutes. I think there's times with Key where, other guys, we don't put him in the best spot. And so there's times where he's in some challenged positions. There's other times where he's got to probably not take on as much risk when there is multiple guys in the paint, be able to kick the basketball. But nonetheless, his competitive spirit, his fight, his will to win, it shows up in those big moments, and certainly did in both games out in Arizona on the road, where he clearly had a look in his eye and like, I'm just gonna will this and find a way to win this game.
And just with his ability to just finish in traffic, how much do you guys work on that? And are there some where you're like, how did he just make that?
Yeah, I mean, he certainly has always had that in his game. He's an elite downhill player, finisher, body balance, competitiveness, both hands, 1 foot, 2 foot, like he's got all of it in his bag, and it's something he's always been great at, and he's finishing at an even higher level this year than he was last year, and I thought he did a great job last year. So much of that is his innate ability and his work ethic, and how those 2 things, propel him to that level, and we try to do what we can throughout our workouts and our development process to continue to improve it even more.
Did Arizona take away Kurt's floater, or did he just not have it in the bag that day?
Yeah, they did a great job locating him in transition, so they weren't, when he was breaking the plane to the 3-point line, they had bigger physical guards who had a body into him. They intentionally probably didn't play Doe or so the last however many minutes of the game, because they felt like him out there would give Kurt ability to get to his spots more. And so I think it was their awareness in transition, so they didn't have to fly by and necessarily run him off the 3 and get out of the play. They were able to stay in the play and be physical, and then congest the floor so he wasn't able to get to his spot the same way. So again, credit to them for being able to, have a great plan, but then sustainability and focus and execution over 40 minutes. because they never really let him, get clean ones, right? They were very deliberate in how they defended and how physical they were with guarding him to take that away. So, credit to them, and we'll continue to be better finding those opportunities for him.
What is the lesson for him and for you guys when defended like that?
Yeah, I would say more than anything, Kurt, one thing he's done well for us is, over his time, is he's really helped us move the basketball, be a great mover off the ball. I think when the ball would stop with him and the whole defense could focus on him, look, he's a great playmaker, but that's not putting him in the best spot to be successful. So I would say where we've seen him be at his best is when Taman or Keyshawn is kind of breaking down the defense, and now the ball comes from the paint or it comes from J. Jeff and he's in space. That's where he's so good, because he moves so well, he never stops moving, and now it's hard to locate him. So I think the lesson learned is he's always got to be hard to locate. He can't be somebody that they can know where he is, because then you can make choices that make it harder.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Real quick,